Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier radio networks, including 160 of the best stations in the U.S. and XM Channel 166 on Sunday, January 22nd, 2012. This is episode 842. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Stamps.com. Nobody likes waiting in line at the post office, especially now. That's why I use and recommend Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and printer. You'll never have to go to the post office again. For my special offer, visit Stamps.com, click the radio microphone, and use the promo code TechGuy. Stamps.com. Well, a good day to you. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, back live to talk about stuff. Computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, home theater, MP3 players, all that jazz. The phone number is 8888 Ask Leo if you want to call in and ask a question, make a suggestion, complain bitterly about your failing technology. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Oh, here we are again. I apologize. I missed yesterday's show. Was a little under the weather. There was a terrible flu going around. I don't know if you've avoided it. If you have, continue to do so. Not recommended. It only hit me for a day, although almost everybody in our Tech Guy labs has fallen prey to it for more than a day. It's a bad one. I had to get up today. I think there's some football on TV. And I had to get out of the house. Couldn't take it. If you want to we don't talk football here. This is your refuge from football talk. This is the place where we talk about cool new stuff. What an interesting week this was. The SOPA PIPA blackouts on the 18th. Did you go to Wikipedia? Were you surprised? Were you one of the millions that went to Wikipedia? And there's nothing. It's dark. It says, "Go away. Go away. We're protesting." Interesting, huh? I think it was very effective because that day, 29 members of Congress changed their position. And finally, the sponsors, Lamar Smith, I'm not sure who sponsored it in the Senate, but Lamar Smith in the House withdrew the bills. What were those bills, SOPA and PIPA? Well, you know, it's kind of the name is kind of deceptive. It's Stop Online Piracy Act, SOPA, and the Protect IP, or Intellectual Property Act, PIPA. The goal of the two was the same, to protect American content companies, particularly, although I guess it would be manufacturers as well, handbag, manufacturers and so forth, from piracy and counterfeits. The thesis being that the internet is a hotbed of pirates and piracy. It is, and this is how I'm sure the record industry feels. They pretty much have said as much, that computers and the internet are basically tools of piracy and putting us out of business. And if something isn't done, 22, what was it they said? 22 million jobs? Can't be that many. 22,000 jobs in Hollywood would be lost to piracy. All of this despite the fact that the movie industry seems to be doing just fine. DVD sales, just fine. Downloads, just fine. Now, admittedly, it wasn't a good year for box offices, but that's because they made a bunch of crappy movies. And that's part of the problem, is how do you tell if it's piracy or just, lousy content? It's kind of hard to prove the piracy point. In fact, I think there are a lot of counterexamples that show people like Paul Coelho, the best-selling author, sold millions of copies of his books, including The Alchemist. The Alchemist wasn't selling well at all. Paul Coelho could not, he's a Brazilian author, could not convince his publisher to promote it enough or whatever. It just wouldn't sell. So Powell took things into his own hands. He pirated his book. Yes, he did. He pirated his own book. He put it on the Pirate Bay and other sites. Millions. It's a fascinating story. It started when a fan posted a Russian translation of one of his novels online. Sales jumped from 3,000 in Russia to 1 million. Sales. I'm not talking stealing. I'm talking sales. So there's one data point. Novel not selling. Pirate book online. Sales go from 3,000 to 1 million. Sales in 3 years with no additional promotion or publicity. So Powell said, well, yeah, that's interesting. So he started putting his own books on Pirate Bay. His publisher, HarperCollins, noticed one of the unauthorized books had notes from his own manuscript. So they said, what are you doing? You're stealing your own stuff. Can I just point out that he's a hugely successful, best-selling author thanks to piracy. And I think you can go on and on with cases like this. So the jury's out on, in the first place, whether piracy is a bad thing. In the second place, I think, and this is more important, the record industry basically wants to change how the internet works. I mean, fundamentally, in a way so dramatically horrible that 83 of the people who designed the internet wrote a letter to Congress saying, if you pass these laws, you're breaking the internet we worked so hard to design. Really? You understand what you're doing? But yes, the music industry does, and the motion picture industry does. Is exactly what they want, because they really don't like computers and the internet. They kind of want to go back to the 50s. They didn't like, by the way, they didn't like cassettes either. They didn't like CDs either. They didn't like VCRs either. They tried to get VCRs made illegal. Failed. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. It goes all the way back to player piano rolls. The music publishing industry tried to put player pianos out of business. Every time there's a new technology, these guys go, no, and they fight it, and they try to make it illegal. Fortunately, in most cases, they fail, and then something interesting happens. They figure out how to make money with it. The VCR is a great example. Jack Valenti, the Motion Picture Association of America, testified to Congress. He said, the VCR is to the motion picture industry as the Boston Strangler is to a woman home alone. He said that. Huh? And then the Supreme Court, in a famous Sony Betamax case, ruled no, it's legal to make and sell videotape recorders. And guess what? For years, the motion picture industry made billions on what? VHS tape sales. Same thing with DVDs. It continues. I think you have to make the case somehow, first of all, that piracy is a bad thing. Second of all, I think you have to say, okay, we've proven now that piracy really does take money out of our pockets. It's hard to prove. And there's no other way to make money off this internet thing, so let's just break it. Well, they failed. Interesting, the very next day, the federal government pulls down a site that is considered by the motion picture industry of America to be the most horrendous piracy offender. And admittedly, I think there was a lot of piracy going on megaupload.com, but there was also a lot of legitimate file sharing going on there. And a lot of people, a lot of howling I've seen on Twitter from people who had legitimate files who were using that system, which, isn't inherently a pirate system, to share files, to save files, and when the feds shut it down, there go their files. No recourse. Bye-bye. All to protect this industry. How many jobs, I wonder, has the tech industry created compared to the potential loss of jobs in Hollywood? How much money has Hollywood contributed to the campaign coffers of the members of House and Senate who are voting for these bills? Interesting conundrum. Anyway, good news, Sopa and Pippa are dead for now. The bad news is this isn't over yet. And it was just fascinating to watch the internet. If anything, even if you don't agree with the politics of it, what you do have to say is, wow, those blackouts did accomplish something, didn't they? 29 members of Congress turned around, and ultimately the bills were discarded. Discarded. I love, now, Chris Dodd, former Senator Chris Dodd, who now runs the Motion Picture Association of America. They're very good at picking lobbyists with lots of clout. He said a very interesting thing just the other day. He kind of told the truth about what really is going on. But I'll tell you that when we come back. And take your calls to 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. John is not on because of the game. He wants to watch the darn football game. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about Stamps.com. You mind if I do that for a second? We're doing something new, which I'm really excited about. Let me just put the lower third up here. Where'd it go? There we go. We're doing something new on the show, which is we're doing ads on the podcast, which is so great because it means the podcast we just kind of doing pro bono. It means we can make a little money, and I get to pick my favorite sponsors to do these ads. And Stamps.com is absolutely one of my favorite sponsors. Do you know about Stamps.com? I hope you do. The whole idea, postage rates are going up again. That means a lot of people going down to the post office buying, what is it, the 3-cent stamps or buying new stamps, those, special never expire stamps. Forget about it. You don't have to get in line. Stamps.com brings the post office right to your desk. Now, this is funny because this is the kit that you're going to get with their no-risk trial offer, and it had stuff in it, including a scale. It's empty now because it's at the front desk. They're using it like crazy. So here's the deal. You get from Stamps.com a USB scale. You plug it right into your computer, and it weighs anything, packages, letters, whatever, and always gives you exactly the right postage. Even when the rates go up, it's automatically the right postage. You put it right on there, and even with a package of any size, the mail carrier picks it up. You can make a special pickup, or they'll just pick it up on their regular route. So you don't have to ever go to the post office again. They also have discounts you can't get at the post office on a priority mail. I have the discount here somewhere. 21% off express mail when you use Stamps.com. You're going to save money. 15% off priority mail. So the postage cost, if you're an eBay seller, you got to have this thing. Oh, here comes a scale. If you're an Amazon seller, you got to have this thing. If you sell internationally, this is so cool, this scale. It plugs right in. It's got a little USB port on it. Plugs right in. Gives you a readout. Very straightforward, very simple. That's yours. Okay, we're going to get you the scale. I feel like the guy on the home shopping. We're going to get you the scale. We're going to get you $55 free postage. This is a $110 bonus offer. $55 free postage and the scale and the whole kit just to try Stamps.com. No risk. So what you do is you go to Stamps.com. Before you do anything, here, I'll show you. You go to Stamps.com, Stamps.com. Before you do anything else, you click oh, look, it went right to me. That's kind of nice. You click wow, it just knew that it was me. That's cool. You click the radio microphone button, and then you enter the offer code TECHGUY. And you'll get the $55 in postage coupons, the free digital scale, the $5 supply kit, and a 4-week trial, $110 value. All you got to do is use my name, Leo, no cost to you. How about that? This is the coolest thing ever. Yes, and you can use the scale to make brownies. Somebody says, can you measure? Yes, you could just have it in your house. Here, thanks, Greg. I want you to try it today. It really is. I'm telling you, if you're going to the post office, you're wasting your time. Always have exactly the right postage. Never go to the post office again. If you do an international mail, it fills out the forms for you. It will. If you use QuickBooks, it'll take your mailing address from QuickBooks. I mean, you go boom, boom, boom. It makes you fast, efficient. Stamps.com. Try it today. Use TECHGUY as the offer code, okay?
To watch it tumble, crash through to face new grounds, try to shut down my internet. You won't have a flicker of hope. If I go to jail, I'm taking you with me. That's when you'll drop the sofa.
Don't drop the sopa on my foot. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you want to talk high tech. Let me just read out before I'm going to go to the phones. I am, but this is so stunning. Senator Chris Dodd, former senator of Connecticut, right? Yeah. He's now the president and CEO and chairman of the board and the high muckety-muck at the Motion Picture Association of America, which is Hollywood's lobbying arm. It's the group that goes to D.C. and lobbies and frankly writes these bills. It should be very clear that these bills are not written by members of Congress nor by their staff. They're essentially written by the Motion Picture Industry Associations and the Recording Industry Association, and then the staff passes it on to the member of Congress, who briefly scans it and says, "I'm against piracy, so let's pass it." Until the entire internet stands up and said, "What are you, nuts?" But Chris Dodd's mad now. See, he's mad because his whole plan is evil. That's really Dr. Evil. His evil plan has been foiled. So he said, and I quote, this is from an interview he did on Fox News. I should do it in a Dr. Evil voice. "Those who count on, quote, Hollywood for support need to understand that this industry is watching very carefully who's going to stand up for them when their job is at stake. Don't ask me to write a check for you when you think your job is at risk, and then don't pay any attention to me when my job is at stake." Now, I understand it's a little confusing. It'd be easier if he just said, "Release the hounds." But what he's really saying is, we ain't going to give you any more money if you don't do what we say in Congress. And he's saying it pretty clearly. The industry is watching very carefully who's going to stand up for us. Don't ask me to write you a check to help you get elected if you don't pay any attention to me when I ask you to pass this bill. Smithers. Wow. That's, that's pretty obvious. That's pretty blatant. And I think pretty illegal, but I could be wrong. Essentially, they're threatening politicians who accept donations from the Motion Picture Association of America if they don't pass that bill. Forget the voters. Who cares about them? We're giving you money. That's worth more than any vote. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm going to go to the phones. Otherwise, I'm going to burst a gasket here or something. Andres from Huntington Park, California. You're first, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Andres.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, sir. What can I do for you?
Hi, Leo. I called to ask about what would be the best and the cheapest computer for to play games on.
Yeah, see, because now this is funny because you think gaming, well, that's pretty silly, trivial, lightweight, happy stuff. Probably not very challenging. It's the most challenging thing you can do on a computer. That or editing video, maybe editing photos. Those are the things that task a computer. And it's funny, the really computer designers, when they're making a gaming machine, have to put a lot more horsepower in than the machine that's sitting on the desk at the bank there. That's easy. Spreadsheets, no problem. Balancing the books, easy. Killing the enemy in Far Cry, now that's hard. That takes a lot of horsepower. So building a gaming machine is going to be more expensive. And if you look at some of the companies that specialize in gaming machines, boy, talk about sticker shock. There's a lot of different. There's Alienware, that's owned by Dell. Alienware was a third-party, independent company. You can still go to alienware.com and look at their computers, but just so you know, they're really Dell. They're Dell computers. And they just introduced they say, let your hero out, the compact and powerful X51. These are overpriced, I got to say, because they're very fancy design. What game do you play, Andres?
Minecraft, mostly.
Ah, good news. Minecraft is very, very lightweight. So you're in luck. Minecraft is Java-based, so it doesn't require heavy-duty hardware. And in fact, even though it's real-time rendering, it's got that cute 8-bit look. You know what? That means it's easy to render. So you don't need to spend too much money. In fact, any computer you buy, Mac or PC, should be able to play Minecraft just fine. Any modern computer. If you said, I want to play Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 4 or 5, if you said, I want to play Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, if you said, I want to play Battlefield 3, if you'd said, I want to play a first-person shooter with high-quality, realistic, immersive graphics, then I'd say, yeah. So then you need a lot of hardware. You need an Intel i5 processor is enough. 4 gigs of RAM is enough. But what you really need is a high-end gaming video card. You don't need that, though, for Minecraft. Any computer that you buy should be just fine, I think. Do get 4 gigs of RAM. The chat room is saying you need a lot of RAM, but 4 gigs is plenty. You don't need a very high-end video card. Now, if you want to, I recommend these guys all the time. If you want to look at what the state-of-the-art in computing for horsepower is, PC Perspective is an enthusiast blog, pcper.com, that keeps track of this and has recommendations constantly kept up to date for the best hardware. If you go to pcper.com and you go to their hardware leaderboard, there's a tab right at the top. You'll see you get a low-end system, a mid-range system, a high-end system, and a dream system. The low-end system, you could do it by price as well, is probably, I would get the mid-range system. The low-end system is $500. That's all in. The mid-range system, $860, is just about what I get for Minecraft. Probably enough to play almost any game. It's got an i5 2500K. The video card is a GeForce GTX 560. Is that right? It's an overclocked 560. The Sparkle Caliber. They put 4 gigs of RAM in that thing. They have a standard terabyte hard drive. If you had extra money, I'd say get an SSD, but those are very expensive. I think, this is pretty good, $860. So what I would suggest you do is you go to the PC Per website and you take a look at that mid-range computer. That's about right for you. And then if you get a little more money, for $1,300, you can get their high-end system with an i7. And that's also got a GTX 560 GeForce video card. Or the Dream system for almost $3,000. And that has an AMD video card, the Radeon HD 7970. Those are higher-end cards. So PCPER.com. And if you don't have to build your own. In fact, I wouldn't recommend building your own. What I would recommend is looking at the specs that they recommend for that system, and then looking for, say, a Dell system that would match those specs. Martin, let's see if we can get another call in before the bottom of the hour in Long Beach, California. Hi, Martin. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener. I travel a lot, and I have an iPad 2, and I
ran out of time. Hang on. We'll be with you in a second. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I knew his question was, can I use a mouse with the iPad 2? And if he just said that, I would have said no, and we would have moved on. But no, he had to tell me how much he liked me. I was trying. Martin in Long Beach is about to ask a very good question. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, Leo, I travel a lot, and I got an iPad 2, and I use Go to My PC using their app for the iPad.
Yeah, isn't that nice? So you're using Windows on the iPad.
My PC is Windows.
Yeah.
And what I'd really like to do is to hook up that magic mouse to that iPad when I'm traveling and be able to navigate a little bit better on my PC.
That's an interesting question. I don't think you can.
Now
you can hook up a Bluetooth keyboard. You can have a real keyboard, but I don't believe there's any way to do a mouse in that particular configuration. Sorry.
Yeah, I saw something on YouTube where someone had, jailbreak.
Yeah, you'd have to jailbreak it.
But I think it was an earlier version.
No, you could do that. They're just coming out now with jailbreaks for 5.1, but you could, in theory, jailbreak it and use, instead of Go to My PC, you'd have to use a jailbreak program like VNC, and you could use a mouse that way. I think the whole idea, to be honest, is not to use a mouse.
Right, but I think I got a legitimate reason for wanting to use a mouse,
And what would that be?
Yeah, because I'm traveling and, I'm out there and I want to be able to navigate that PC, and I'd switch, over to Mac on the desktop, which I do have a mini Mac, but there's certain software.
So the whole idea of the iPad is that instead of a mouse, you use your finger. And that's the iPad. You can't. This is Apple. Apple says how you do things, and they say no mouse. So no mouse. If you want a mouse, you can. You could get an Android tablet, and if you get a recent Android tablet, the Asus Transformer Prime is an excellent choice. That actually is a tablet that docks, and then you got a keyboard and a mouse. And there are solutions. I think go to my PC, in fact, even on Android. So you could do it on an Android, but you chose an iPad. And this is a very, very, very common question I get. Every week somebody calls, says, can I have multiple windows on an iPad? No. Can I have a mouse on an iPad? No. Because you can only do what Apple says you can do. You could jailbreak it and maybe, but that's never a good idea. Because then updating is a problem. So you chose an iPad. This is something people need to understand. Apple's way or the highway. And there's an advantage to that and a disadvantage to that. The advantage, of course, is that it's elegant, simple, less complicated. The disadvantage is it's not as flexible. It's not as powerful. That's often the trade-off. It was, in the early days, a trade-off between Windows and Macintosh. The Windows was more configurable, more geek-friendly. The Macintosh was more streamlined, easier to use. That difference, I have to say, has kind of disappeared as the Mac has gotten more and more complicated. But it's absolutely the case. In fact, it's a very close analog between Android and the iPad, Android and the iPhone. The Android is much more configurable. You can use a mouse on an Android tablet, things like that, but it's more complicated. And for a lot of people, they don't. The user interface isn't as elegant. They don't like it. Robert, Charleston, South Carolina. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Robert.
Hey, how's it going?
It's great. Rain's pouring down in Candlestick Park.
Awesome. It's raining down here in Charleston too. So I'm feeling you. I feel like when you talk about the MPAA, all I can think about is Mr. Burns.
Release the hounds, Smithers. Excellent. We almost have them in the palm of our hands, don't they? Shut down the internet, Smithers.
It really does feel like that, doesn't it?
It does. And he's got, all this industry in the background. He's in charge of,
Yeah, we've made our money. Let's make sure no one else can make theirs. No innovation here, Smithers.
It really is.
Well, it's true, and they're cynical all the time.
That's very cynical because I think it is. In fact, I think it is generational. Now, I'm an old guy, so it's not all of us old guys, but I think it is almost generational. It is an earlier time. The record industry and the movie industry want to go back to a day when the internet and computers weren't a problem for them. They kind of conveniently forget that thing about VHS tapes and all that. Oh, but it's been so bad since the computers and the internet. And let's go back to a time before that. And the young people go, what? And this is true. And by the way, the young people in the industry even. The young people in the industry say, no, wait a minute. Look at iTunes. We're making a ton of money. We can do this. People don't pirate it. You pirate stuff when you can't get it any other way. If it's affordable and easy to get on the internet, people won't pirate it. The computers and the internet are an opportunity for these guys. They're an opportunity, not a problem. But they want to keep doing it their old way. They want to sell you a piece of plastic. I don't like this internet thing. We're going to give you a piece of plastic.
And it's like the prime example is that you can rip CDs, but you can't rip DVDs yet or Blu-ray. Like, they make it very difficult because they're scared of change, I think.
Well, I would point this out. In fact, if you're a pirate, it's easy to rip Blu-ray DVDs. If you're a pirate, it's no big deal if SOPA or PIPA pass. It doesn't slow down the crooks. This is the other problem. The crooks can go around it. That's easy. It's trivial. It only slows, and this is true about all copy protection schemes, all of these schemes. The only people they disadvantage and they cause problems for are honest people.
That's a great point.
Which is sad.
I'll get to it. Can I ask a quick question of you?
Certainly, Smithers. Go right ahead.
My mom has an iPod Classic, and she has been syncing with my account because it has, she's like, I have a ton of songs that she likes on there, so she's
a pirate. She's a pirate. Don't tell Chris Todd. Oh my God.
That's what Mac would say. She's got all my music on her iPod.
Wait a minute. Your mom likes your music?
Well,
that's kind of humiliating, Robert. How do you hold your head up?
Well, I burned all of her CDs on my account.
Oh, okay. So it's her music on your account. Got it.
Yeah, there you go. She doesn't know how to do it. So I got her set up with her own account because she wanted to buy some music off of iTunes. So she bought a couple of songs on her account, and now it wants to sync.
Right.
The iPod wants
So
to sync
as a cheesy form of anti-piracy, which doesn't work. And only inconveniences honest people, not pirates who completely know how to get around this. The iPod says, "Oh, you can only be attached to one computer at a time, and if you decide you want to now use Mom's computer for syncing, I'm going to erase everything on there because." The theory being, oh, well, you could take everything off of the iPod and put it on Mom's computer, and now she'd have all those songs. It'd be the ultimate piracy device, wouldn't it be? Kind of like a hard drive. So the truth is, all you have to do is and you should do this anyway, get an external drive or a USB key, something big enough to hold the music, and copy everything that's in your iTunes library onto that. That's a backup. And then put it into her computer and use her iTunes to import it into her library.
Okay.
Now her library has all the songs. Now you can say erase and sync. And all the songs that were on the iPod are now on the hard drive will be copied back to the iPod. Problem solved. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Thank you, Smithers. Release the hounds. We have the best Congress I could buy.
Leo Laporte, the
tech guy.
Thank you, Kyle Benham, our musical director. Kyle finds all sorts of wacky stuff and he likes to play those during the bumpers. And if you enjoy that, he does put a post up on Google Plus at the end of each show with a playlist. A lot of this stuff is from YouTube, I think, and so you could find it all on his Google Plus account or on our website after the fact, techguylabs.com. James DeRuvo is writing these things down. Everything I talk about, as best he can, so that you don't have to remember a thing, which is good because I don't either. People send me emails saying, you were talking on episode 842. You were talking, and I have no idea. Yeah, whatever. I think it's on the website. I hope it is. Let's see. Next is Chris in the United Kingdom. He's calling from Kent. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Hello. So I'm looking at making a new website in a couple of months' time, probably when they refresh the new Macs with Ivy Bridge. I know it's always best to get a new Mac when they refresh them.
I almost thought you were going to say it's always best to get a new Mac when you create a new website. That's a good reason to do it, too. In fact, any reason's a good reason. Yeah, no, you're right. And I think Ivy Bridge, which is the next Intel chipset, is due out this spring, and I suspect Apple will refresh the iMacs and the Mac Pros at that time. Maybe even the Mac Minis.
Yeah, so I'm looking at getting a high-end 27-inch, trying to max one out so I can do video editing and capturing, probably via Thunderbolt.
It's exactly what I'm looking at right now. I love my 27-inch iMac. In fact, Apple has blurred the line because in the old days, the iMac was the consumer home Macintosh, and the Mac Pro, which looked like a tower, was the Pro version. But now, with these iMacs, this iMac I have is also maxed out, 27-inch, 3.4 quad-core, 8-way Intel i7, 8 gigs of RAM, SSD, boot drive, and a regular spinning data drive. I mean, this is a maxed-out machine. And it's a beast. It's more powerful than my Mac Pro at home.
Apple Provide will be enough to capture the uncompressed HD.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They're very much blurring the line now between the the Pro models and the so-called home models. In fact, some wags, some pundits believe that the Mac Pro is not long for this world. The only reason you need a Mac Pro these days is because it has slots, and you can get more drives in it. You can get 5 or 6 drives. I can't remember what, a huge number of drives in there. It's got 6 drive bays. And it has slots, so you could put high-end video capture cards, Blackmagic cards, that kind of thing in there. Because of Mini DisplayPort and Thunderbolt, the thinking is, well, you know, you now have a high-speed external port on the iMac that could easily accommodate these additional features. So you don't even need the Mac Pro anymore. I don't know. I think there'll be a Mac Pro for a while, just because, you know, graphics professionals, video professionals like them. But I think for video capture, high-def video capture, no problem at all. You shouldn't have any trouble with you know, it's going to be, you're going to want to max it out. You're going to want to get an Ivy Bridge i7 and so forth, and it's going to set you back. Probably something similar to what a Mac Pro would cost you, but there's no penalty. And I like the idea. You know, I like the idea of the all-in-one. The Mac Pro, though, has some advantages. You know, it's easier to cool the case because it's not all jammed into that small enclosure. You have your choice of monitors. You do have the slots. You do have more drive bays. So, you know, if price is no object, you might want to go with a Mac Pro.
And also, I'm looking at the Apple event this week, and what really got me started is I wanted to make some videos, so capturing the iPad out onto the iMac and make like a video to the latest apps. And with Apple releasing the iBook Author, I thought that'd be really great to make
absolutely.
an ebook.
Absolutely. We haven't talked about that yet. It's very exciting, yeah.
So I can make a book for, say, $2 or $3 and then sell it online so that someone gets a new iMac or iPhone or anything, and they can see how to for a cheap price.
Yeah. This is something Apple announced this week, and I thought was very exciting. They had an education event on the 19th, on Thursday, and they announced, first of all, iBook 2, the second version of their iBook app for iPhone and iOS and iPad, and it features textbooks, a textbook section in the store. And you know, there's a free textbook from E.O. Wilson on biodiversity. It's just wonderful. It has video, it has interactive graphics. You can highlight and create study cards. There's some really nice features to this. I think for students, this is a great platform for textbooks, the iPad especially. And then at the same time as they announced that, they announced a tool for authoring it. It works only on Macs. And you should read the EULA carefully. If you make a book that you want to sell, you have to sell it on Apple's store. You can't sell it anywhere else. Free books you can do whatever you want with. But if you're going to create a book for sale, you must use the iBook store. I don't think that's unreasonable. It's a free tool. Very sweet. You can include keynote presentations, so you can have a lot of interactivity. Of course, video, as you say. I agree with you. And I think because you could sell these books, ebooks so inexpensively, there's I think a huge opportunity. Apple takes 30%, but that's much less than traditional publishers take. Much less. Traditional publishers usually take 85 or 90%. So it's a really, I think, a great opportunity for somebody like you, Chris, who wants to make a book, who wants to include multimedia features. I've been thinking, if I had the time, I'd love to do a book on how to podcast, how to do a podcast studio like we've done, and how we built it with video and interactive graphics and so forth. I'd love to do that. I'd give that away. I think that'd be just fantastic. I suspect that people with expertise in a lot of areas are going to take advantage of this. So it's very good news. The third thing Apple announced, by the way, is a updated iTunes U application that will include not only college lectures, but K through 12 courseware, including syllabi, tests, video. It's a much improved platform. That was the stealth announcement. That might be the most important announcement of all. iTunes U has always been the great kept secret of iTunes. Is, you know, there's courses, full courses you could take for free from MIT, Stanford, Yale University, and others on there. You download them, you watch these videos, you can learn anything. You can get a college education minus the degree and minus the cost. And I think for, you know, kids around the world who can't afford to go to college, this is a revolution. And now Apple's even improved that. And they've created a new iTunes U app. to make sure people know it's there. If you haven't downloaded it on your iPad or your iPhone, get it and take a look at it. And just watch, because more and more universities are putting, and I think high schools will be putting stuff. I just saw a great lesson plan. One of the algebra, actually calculus teachers at my kids' high school put this great lesson plan together. Wonderful lesson plan in which he said, you're a NASA scientist, you've got to get the rover landed, and there was all these problems. It was wonderful. And I've got to tell him, dude, put this on iTunes U. Not only will you give kids who aren't able to find this kind of extremely quality education in their schools, but you'll probably get to a few teachers who will say, can I use that? I would love to use that in my class. I think this could be a revolution in education. So, Chris, I encourage you to do that. Let's add to the body of knowledge. A couple of bucks. Well, why not? I got to take a break here. What do I need to do? A Carbonite ad, Kyle? What do I need to do here?
Yeah, Carbonite.
Yeah, I love I'll do a Carbonite ad. They call this ad, the name of this ad is Poof. And I'll tell you why. Here, imagine this. Your phone rings, you reach for it, and your elbow hits your keyboard. That's the story I'm gonna use. Poof! You just accidentally deleted that important spreadsheet or all those pictures. Maybe you did a Control-A and you accidentally hit the delete key, and boom, it's all gone. And then you save, and then, oh my gosh, I just erased the... How often? I mean, let's face it. Hard drives crash. Computers get lost. But most of the time, data gets lost because, well, human error. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones and camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. Coming up at 33 after the hour, Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. He says we're going to get all the new camera owners on board today. I like it. I like it. And I'll take your calls at 8888 Ask Leo. George is on the line from Gardena, California. Hi, George. Leo Laporte.
Yeah, good afternoon, Leo. What I think you should do before I ask my question, I think you should go before the lawmakers of the country and explain about the comment you made about half an hour ago about...
Thank you. So you think they're convincing?
I think, yeah, you have a simple knowledge of the facts, and they could understand that. So then when they come to make a decision, they'll, do the right thing.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it would be nice. Here's my question. I have high-speed internet. I upgraded from 1 megabyte to 3 megabyte. But most of the time, I'm only getting 1 or less than 1 megabyte. But they're charging me the higher fee.
Yeah.
It seems like the utilities should have some way of...
I agree. But if you look at what they say up to 3 megabits.
Oh, yeah.
See, they don't actually promise you. When you hear a number from an internet service provider, they're most of the time, depends on some companies will tell you kind of what you can expect reasonably and undersell it. But a lot of times a company will tell you what the maximum is. So if they say up to 3 megabits, what they mean is it could be as fast as 3 megabits unless anybody else is using it. Do you have cable? It sounds like you have DSL.
I have DSL from your sponsor.
DSL Extreme, and they're very clear when they sell it to you. You know, the $14.95 version is slower than the next step up, and I think it sounds like you spent money to get the next step up, right?
I'm about $30 a month.
Yeah. Now,
so what I'm going to do is just cancel that and go back to the 1 megabyte because that's about what I'm getting anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point, huh?
Yeah.
One issue for DSL is how far you are, and most people have no idea, but how far you are from the central office. That's where you're getting your internet from. And DSL, unlike cable, is impacted by distance.
Right, I understand that.
Do you know where the central office? Do you know where the central office is?
Well, I live in Santa Monica, so it's probably 12 miles away.
Yeah, it can't be because that's ridiculous. So here's what you got to do. You got to go to DSLreports.com.
Yes.
and they have a search to find your central office, believe it or not.
Okay.
And so you enter in where you are, and they'll tell you, DSL Extreme, I think, also has this service on their homepage. They'll tell you how far away you are. DSL only works 2 kilometers or less away. So you are not 12 miles away from the central office. Now, the central office isn't necessarily where you go to pay your bill. It's not necessarily the building downtown that says the phone company. It's usually a windowless building somewhere in your neighborhood where all the switches are. And the distance from that it really conditions how fast your speed can be.
Okay.
So that's just a limitation of the technology. That's how DSL works. It's very distant aware. Past 2 or 3 kilometers, you're not even gonna be able to get DSL, or you're gonna have to get a special kind of low speed DSL. And yeah, they tell you, when they tell you 1 to 3, I mean, they are giving you a range, right?
Yes.
So in a way they're saying, if you're right next to the central office, you could be as fast as 3 megabits.
Okay.
So I agree that they should be more forthright. Welcome to the real world. Companies never tell you that. They tell you, your mileage may vary in most cases. All the ads have weasel words in them, don't they?
Every once in a while I'll get 2.7, and that's very rare.
There you go. So, see, they aren't lying to you.
No, but yeah, but my pocketbook's empty.
Yeah, well, at 30, I'll tell you, 30 is still a deal. If you go to the cable company, it's going to be 50.
Yeah, no, it is. I like DSL. I've been with them from dial-up modem to DSL for about.
Right. No, it's a good company. I know the guys well. They've advertised on this show since we started 8 years ago. But it is a fact of life. DSL has advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is, unlike the cable company, you have a direct line back to the central office, so you're not sharing whatever bandwidth you buy. You're not sharing it with anybody in your neighborhood.
Oh, good.
So no system is perfect. The problem with cable is about 5 o'clock at night when everybody gets home and starts watching Netflix. In my neighborhood, my cable goes from 20 megabits down to about 1.
Yes.
So it really goes up and down, up and down. Cable tends to be faster, but is less consistent. DSL is slower, but consistent. So usually you'll get the same speed all the time.
One little quick question: when you're on Skype, you notice there's a box that tells you how many people are on Skype at one time.
Isn't that amazing? It's usually around 14 million.
Throughout the world?
Yeah.
Is that throughout the world?
Yeah. Isn't that amazing, that number? Yeah.
It is.
That's why Microsoft spent how many billions of dollars buying them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Skype is a huge success.
You very much.
George, it's great to talk to you.
You're always a good educator, and tell those lawmakers the facts about, piracy and all that other stuff. You do an excellent job. I recommend you.
Yeah. The problem, what we need to do is form a PAC. In fact, I have a friend who is forming a PAC, a political action committee, because really lawmakers, they listen I'll tell you, it's clear they listen, because we were so effective on Wednesday with literally hundreds of thousands of calls, letters, and emails to lawmakers. That was what changed their mind, not the blackout of Wikipedia, but all the calls they got. They listen, because ultimately the voters control. And the entire House of Representatives is up for re-election in the fall, so they're paying attention. But in the absence of voters expressing an opinion, money talks. The companies that go to Washington, D.C. with black bags full of money, the political action committees, and there's no limit now on what they can spend, by the way. So money talks, but only in the absence, I believe, maybe I'm a pie-eyed optimist, but only in the absence of a clear and direct indication from the voters. Because ultimately, what do they use that money for? To buy votes, to buy advertisements, to buy, your attention, to buy your vote. Not directly, not giving you $10 for a vote, but they use the money for their campaigns. So the bottom line for them is the vote, unless they're totally corrupt. And I still, again, pie-eyed optimist that I am, believe that politicians often, maybe not always, but often serve because they want to serve the people. And so if the people let them know, then I think they're capable of changing their minds. I think that's what happened. But we've got to keep on them because there are packets, piles, tons of money coming in from Hollywood. So we just got to let them know. You know, well, I don't get me started. Don't get me started. So Broadband Reports, or they actually call themselves DSL Reports now, has a great page to find your local CO. And before you sign up for DSL, it's probably worth going there. We'll put a link in our show notes at techguylabs.com. James, the link is dslreports.com/CO info. And you enter in your telephone number, and that's the best way to do it. And they'll tell you how close you are. You know, I'm curious. Let me see. How close am I to my CO, my central office? And they'll show you where your central office is, and you can zoom in and find out exactly. And of course, the closer you are, the faster your connection. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Steve Perry, right there at the...
Steven Tyler.
I'm Perry. Steve Perry's Journey. That's Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, right? Right. Should have known the difference. Singing the Star Spangled Banner at one of the two big games today. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm glad you're here. Not watching football. What's going on? No football. Who needs football? Michael in Orange County. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Michael.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I'm wonderful. Welcome to the show.
Good, thank you. I'm actually a fairly new listener, and I don't know if you've touched on the subject yet about the HP touchpads.
There has been no subject that we have not touched on in this show in 8 years. I've been doing it for 20, and I welcome repeat questions because it's a lot easier for me.
Okay.
Don't ask new questions. It's too hard.
Okay, well, I recently purchased the HP touchpad, the 32.
You got it for $99.
I wish. No, actually, I got it for a little under $300.
You bought it when it first came out.
No, I bought it within the last couple of weeks.
Really? It's gone back up to $300?
Yeah, it's gone up to $300.
Even you bought it on eBay.
No, I got it on Amazon.
Really? So they're selling. That's interesting. So the touchpad, which HP discontinued, running WebOS, got terrible reviews when it came out. I played with it, and I was disappointed because I love WebOS, and I was hoping for something a little less sluggish. Since people at HP who've worked on the project say, you know, it's not the hardware, it's good hardware. The real problem is that the software itself, the operating system itself is not very well optimized, et cetera, et cetera. HP said, we're getting out of the business, and dumped all the touchpads they had left out at $99, and they sold like hotcakes, thereby establishing the right price point for the touchpad. In fact, so much so that HP said, well, we got some parts lying around. They made some more. And I guess what happened is demand has increased the price back up to $300.
Yep, and that's what I paid for.
Well, there you go.
So my question is, though, like you said, it is running the WebOS, and I've been going on to online forums figuring out if HP is going to turn back to it and improve the operating system that they have now. But I guess they have a way to root the Android system, but it's in alpha mode.
Right.
And so I went ahead and I did that, but it's not like it's of course it's on alphas, but I'm wondering, and if you might know if they're going to be having a beta operating system.
Oh, yeah. So it's not coming from HP. This is coming from the enthusiast community that loves Android. And, of course, the minute they got their hands on a $99 touch tablet with decent hardware, the first thing they do is they say, great, let's put Android on it. And so you can absolutely expect, I think, now there are enough of them out there that they will continue to develop it and it will get better and better. Absolutely, Michael.
Okay, but see, this is the thing. This is where I'm caught at a crossroads. I still have a 30-day to return it. But my question is, do you think it's worth keeping it at that price?
Well, I think you overpaid. No, I think you overpaid for it. You can get a very good tablet running Ice Cream Sandwich, the latest Android, not in a test experimental mode, but legitimately with better hardware even for $349. from a lot of companies.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you suggest around that price?
And by the way, before you return it, you're going to have to return it to its pristine state, unroot it and all that.
No, I would probably, sell it on
sell
online.
it some other sucker. I mean, some other person. Yeah.
Are you calling me a sucker?
No, not at all. No, of course not. I do think that there are other. We saw a bunch of good Android tablets from a lot of companies, including Arcos, Coupa. There are a lot of companies doing inexpensive Android tablets that are comparable, if not better. And there are more coming. I would take a look at, for instance, if you really want an Android tablet, the Asus Transformer Prime. That's excellent. There are a lot of companies out there. So my favorite is the Prime. It's probably a little more than that, but it's my favorite. And then you've got, if you like, do you like ice cream sandwich? What is on it? Is it honeycomb?
It's Cyanogen Mod 7.
Yeah, 7 is honeycomb. Cyanogen 9, CM9, which is ice cream sandwich, should be out soon, I think. So there is a whole
version or the beta version.
Don't worry about alpha beta. That just means that maybe not everything is working. GPS might not be working or something like that, and they'll get it working. They just have to mess with it. $200 you get a Kindle Fire. $350 you could get. There are a variety of third-party, companies making, usually Taiwanese small companies making Android tablets. Go to the AT&T store. You'll find Android tablets, subsidized Android tablets at that price. But you have to subscribe to 3G. You might want that. That's nice because it gives you wireless everywhere. I think in the long run, you're much better off with a legitimate tablet than a touchpad. And if you'd paid $99, then I'd say fine. But unfortunately, I think you paid a little too much for it. It's not worth that. The hardware is underpowered, and the operating system probably will never be as smooth as buying an Android tablet that's designed for that software and hardware. $200. Actually, somebody in David Bix in the chat room says you could get a Nook Color tablet for $250. Root it and have a full Android tablet. There you go, with a Nook Color. It depends on it. Do you want to be a hacker and have fun with it, or do you really want something that you can use in production environment? A lot of people bought the touchpad just because it was $99 and I can hack around with it. No big deal. I wouldn't want to use it as a production computer, though. Barney in San Pedro, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Barney.
Hello there, Leo.
Hello.
Hey, my want, and this is not a need, but it's a want, is a handy Bluetooth hands-free that I can clip to my shirt so that while I'm driving my truck down the road, I can hear the people talking to me and they can hear me. Because right now...
You don't like putting it in your ear?
I don't. I have a jawbone, and it just becomes a bother after a while, and it's been in the drawer for ages. I have a Jabra SP700 that I clip to the visor. And that's great. But half of the time, I put the darn thing in my shirt pocket, and I talk into my pocket.
Sure.
What I mean is,
You know what I like that you might... Now, I understand. I don't like putting the Bluetooth in my ear. It just feels weird, and you kind of look like a dork when you get out of the truck and you're walking around with a blue light on your ear. How about this? There's and the reason I come up with this is we've had a number of truckers call saying, I need something that's going to give me better results in a noisy cab, that's going to be more comfortable. I think you're still better off than something in your pocket. I think you're better off something that goes on your ear. Take a look at this. Is it's a headphone with a boom mic, so the mic's right in front of your mouth. It has very good noise cancellation. It was designed for truckers. It's called the Blue Parrot Road Warrior. Now, it's not for your pocket. This thing goes over, it looks like headphones, and it has a boom mic, but it's legal because it's only one ear. Hear great things from the truckers who listen. I'll give you a couple of other choices when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Stay tuned. I love that kind of music. Anyway, we were talking to Barney in San Pedro. He drives a truck. And he was putting his Bluetooth on the visor. Which one did you have? You had the
Jabra.
the Jabra. Okay.
And it's great. I love it. I mean, I've bought them for kids, and you know, my wife has one. I have one. But when I put it in my pocket, it's like carrying a mouse around in my pocket, you know. And I just want something a little more convenient to clip on somewhere.
The one I use on the visor is the Blue Ant, but that's big too.
Yeah.
The reason they make them big is because it's on a visor, and so they can put more battery in it, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's volume there. And longevity of battery.
Right, and that's why they make them big, because they figure, well, you're not. They don't expect you to put it in your pocket.
Yeah, I know.
I do like. Would you consider this the one that you put over the ear with the boom?
It's not my style.
You don't want to look like the Time Life operator, is that it?
Yeah, right. I may as well be doing IT work.
I know what you mean.
Or something,
well,
yeah.
Blue Ant does have a little bit of a smaller visor one that I would look at.
Okay.
Of all of the visor ones, I love the Blue Ant the best. Let me see if I can find the name of this Blue Ant one, because they've made it smaller and smaller and smaller. It's the S4 True Hands-Free. It's designed for a visor, but you could clip it into your pocket. I mean, it'd fit in your pocket, and it's slick. It does a lot of things. It's very smart. It'll walk you through the pairing process and all of that. This is my favorite of all of them. It's from It's myblueant.com, BLUEANT.
Okay, I'll give it a look.
I'll take a look at that one. I like it better than the Jabra, to be honest with you.
Yeah, see, I'm not that much over the road. I don't do much long distance. I do a lot of local, and I also have a walkie-talkie, an Nextel phone that I'm dealing with the dispatcher. But I keep my regular cell phone with me for, you know.
Well, this is a little smaller than a cell phone.
Okay.
So if you don't mind having a cell phone in your pocket, you won't mind having this in your pocket.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll look at the Blue Ant.
Yeah, I've used that for all the earlier models. This is the newest one, the S4. I like that one a lot. I said we were going to have Chris Marquardt on, didn't I? And I completely spaced that out. Let me see if I can Skype him in while we're talking. This is a good test. A good test of my ability to talk and chew gum at the same time. Because Chris is in Tübingen, Germany, and so we have to we Skype into Chris. Chris is a podcaster. His show is the Tips from the Top Floor podcast, TFTTF.com. But he also is a great educator and a really good photographer too. Just really talented photographer, and we're going to call him right now via Skype at his home in Tübingen, Germany. He did say he wanted to talk to all the new camera owners today, so let me see if I can pull Chris Marquardt up. I'm doing everything right now. I called him. Chris, are you there? He's not answering. Well, while we're calling, let's take. Yeah, he's not there. Maybe I didn't blow it. Let's take another call. Laverne is calling from the Bronx. Hey, Laverne.
Oh, hi, Leo. I'm a really big fan, and I use Audible, and I'm watching you with the sound off, of course, using Roku.
Awesome.
Yes, and the reason I'm calling is I work as a public librarian in one of the systems here, and I'm also a ebook user.
Awesome.
An ebook reader. As a patron. And the question I have is, I have a Kindle Fire. I love the Fire except for one thing that came up yesterday, and that is I got a low internal storage message.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's only got 8 gigs of... It doesn't have a lot of storage.
No, it certainly doesn't.
For $200, that's what you get. So yeah, unlike and you know the problem is 8 gigs is a lot for like a regular Kindle, because you're just putting textbooks on there. 8 gigs doesn't is a ton. It's actually the first Kindle I think had 2 gigs on it, so they put a lot on it. The problem is but now we can put movies and music and videos and all sorts of stuff on there and audiobooks, and so it fills up a lot faster. An audiobook is usually around 100 megabytes thereabouts. So 8 gigs is a ton. 6 gigs of it is available for your use, by the way. Not all 8 gigs. 2 gigs is taken up by the operating system.
Right.
So
yeah.
take some stuff off, Laverne.
I did.
And
it wasn't enough stuff. So the question I have is, while I'm willing to work with what I have with this particular Kindle Fire, when the 2.0 device comes out, should I definitely look at whether or not it will be bigger than 8 gigs? Since I do have a iPad and it works perfectly fine for my subway commute, which is the reason that I really like it. It's very easy for me to show patrons how to use the Kindle public library books and our native public library stuff. But
it's almost certain that Amazon will do a new Kindle. And probably it won't be like Apple, where it'll take a year for every one of them. You know, it'll probably be sooner than that. But no one knows anything about it. I think you're probably right. You could count. What I'd love to see is an SD card slot.
Oh, I'd love that, because that would definitely solve the problem.
Yeah, then you could put 32 gigs in the SD card, and you have plenty of space.
Sure.
So I think that those are the kinds of things you could reasonably expect, but we don't know, because nobody said. You know, people have learned a lesson. There was a computer. I don't know if you remember it. Called the Osborne computer, and it came out in the 80s. It was a very nice, for that time, portable computer, and then Adam Osborne, the president of the company, announced the Osborne 2. But he made a mistake. He announced the Osborne 2 like 6 months before it was ready. And they immediately stopped selling Osborne 1s, because nobody's going to buy an Osborne 1 when the Osborne 2 is about to come out for the same price. And the company went bankrupt. Adam Osborne died, and that's it. So I think the moral of the story is Amazon is not, now they call it Osborning yourself. They are not going to announce anything about the next Kindle Fire until it's really ready to come out. And so you won't, this Apple does the same thing, right? We don't know anything about the iPad 3. We hear rumors, but we don't know anything official until it's ready. Because it kills the sales of the previous version. But yeah, I'm sure they'll have more memory. And until then, you're just going to, you got it for $200, Laverne.
I know.
I mean, the iPad was was 3 times more expensive.
Yes, and I got the 3G version.
There you go. Now, I have a question for you. We don't publicize this enough, but public libraries have e-books and audiobooks that you can get for free, can't you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I just came off a 2-week volunteer stand-up at my library, showing people at the beginning of the year how to load up e-books and things. People
who like e-books or want to try e-books without spending any money, or who want to see what an audiobook's like, go to your public library. Now, what devices do you typically support?
Well, I'm a Kindle expert, so I get questions about that.
So if you have a Kindle of any kind, you probably can get a library book.
Sure. The iPad, so that would be with the Kindle Cloud Reader, the Kindle app.
Okay. Well, there's Kindle's apps on everything. So, yeah, Android, iOS, laptops. So there's a good start. Laverne, a pleasure talking to you. I thank you so much for the work you do. Librarians are so important. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Taking photographs of friends. I'm taking pictures with my new camera. I love taking photographs of things. Setting sun.
That's the song for today with Chris Marquardt, our photo guy on the line. ChrisMarquardt.com. Sorry about that. We were having a little Skype issue. It's all better now. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Leo. I like the music.
Isn't that good? Who is that, Kyle? That's a great song. That's a good theme song for Chris today.
It's a band called the Hip Waters.
The band is called the Hip Waters, or Hip Waiters. So, Chris, every year about this time, because, here we are in January, a couple of weeks after the holidays, and I think the presumption is safe that many of you got brand new cameras. And Chris is here to get you started in the wonderful hobby of digital photography.
Yeah, so this is the time when we throw all the knowledge, all the info that we've accumulated over the years as pros, when we throw that overboard, when we step all the way back to the beginning, because they're new beginning camera owners, and There are just a few little, very, very little things. Actually, just 3 things that a new camera owner needs to be aware of. Very important to understand is that the camera, when you unbox it, when you first take it out of the box, it's on full automatic. It'll basically do everything for you. It'll do exposure, which is how bright the picture is. It'll do the colors, which is the white balance, and it'll do, well, lots of other things. But those are the 2 big things that it does on full automatic, and you just need to be aware that the camera will not always get it right. Camera is just not as smart as it is. They're darn good, but they're not as good. So
you're smarter than the camera? Wow.
Actually, yes. Yeah. So, so that is pretty normal. That sometimes you get something that's too dark, too bright, overexposed, underexposed, or it has a bluish cast or a yellowish cast, and that just happens. But there are ways around that in almost all of those cases. So. Let's look at a few of the things that that can go wrong. And as I said, these are very basic things. First of all, the camera will often not get the color right. Like, if you shoot under tungsten light or under CFL light, sometimes the camera gets confused and then the shots turn out way too yellow or sometimes way too green. Or have a blue cast, and you look at them and you go, nah, that does not really reflect the feeling I had when I took that picture. So getting colors right in artificial light. Daylight is never a problem. Artificial light is the problem.
Well, daylight could be a problem if you're in snow, right? Because then you might not get the colors wrong, but you get the snow wrong.
That's exposure. That's exposure.
Okay,
that's
okay. So color first.
Color first in artificial light. And there is this little setting on your camera. It's called white balance. Go to your manual, camera manual. Actually, it's very important. Have that with you, or read it. Those are they are quite nice to read sometimes. White balance. That's the chapter you want to look for. It's always on auto when you have a camera new, but there are presets. Like there are a little cloud symbol or a little sun or a little light bulb symbol. Try setting the camera to that symbol, the one that reflects the conditions you're under. If you are out in a cloudy condition, set it on the little cloud. If you're inside and there's light from light bulbs, set it on the little light bulb, and you will find that you will almost all the time, or pretty much all the time, you'll get better colors. You get really good colors all of a sudden. So that is one of the very basic things. But now
we call that white balance.
We call it white balance.
Okay.
Yes.
That's white balance. That's good. It's good to know these things because you hear these phrases, and it's important to know what they mean.
And it's very basic, and a lot of people still don't know about it, especially when they have their camera new, because there's so much in that manual. You don't really know what are the parts that are important.
Well, one of the reasons people don't understand white balance is because we don't need it for our eyeballs. Whether you're indoors or outdoors, everything looks fine, and that's because your eyes are actually magically adjusting.
Your eyes are wonderful. They don't see those color casts, and the camera.
The camera does.
The camera does, yeah. So exposure is the other thing that our eyes do really well. We go out in snow and we can see everything, and we go inside where it's dark, and after a bit of adjustment, we can see everything again. The camera is a bit more limited there, and it's easily thrown by what's in the picture. So as you said, in snow. I actually use that as an example on the workshops. Try to shoot a picture of a white rabbit in snow. So you have lots of white. You have lots of white. The camera will see a lot of white, and what the camera is going to do, it'll darken down everything. So you end up with gray snow. Every photographer has seen that when you shoot on automatic, snow will turn gray. That's just the way it is.
The camera's trying to make it neutral. But you don't want snow to be neutral. You want it to be
neutral
white.
In terms of brightness. Neutral in terms of brightness. That's the thing. So what you can do is, and that's the second thing that you want to look up after white balance, the second thing you want to look up is called exposure compensation. So this, you don't be too worried. You don't have to go to what's called manual mode yet. That's for later. But this little thing called exposure compensation. If the picture turns out, for example, the snow turns out gray, you have to make it brighter. So you want to change that exposure compensation to the plus side. So you add a bit of brightness using that exposure compensation. In snow, almost always have that in snow. I just crank it up slightly, maybe +1, sometimes even to +2, and that gives me good snow pictures where the snow is actually white. And those are basically the two very simple tips that I have.
Very important. White balance and exposure. Doesn't mean you're going full manual. It just means you're taking a look at the settings in the menu and adjusting those a little bit.
And then there's one third thing, if we have one more minute.
I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break. When we come back, the third thing you new camera owners should pay attention to. Chris Marquardt is here. He's our photo expert. And so it's good. Every year we do this. And by the way, if you've got a new camera, stay tuned too, because we're going to tell you about our assignment, because next week we're going to review pictures in our assignment. We'll do all that in a moment. Chris Marquardt is here, our photo fellow from chrismarquardt.com. We talked about white balance and exposure. What else?
Well, those are the technical things. So getting the colors right, getting the brightness right.
Doing that'll get you a long way towards getting better pictures.
Which is true, but then the next thing goes more to the creative side, and that is getting the composition right. Because just pointing the camera at something is not always going to yield a good picture, especially like if you, let's say you do a portrait of someone and you put that person bang in the middle of the picture. It is important, first of all, that your picture does have what we call a subject, something that is the key player, that is the main actor in the picture. So you want that one thing. You want to know what the picture is about when you take when someone looks at it. Okay, so whatever it is that is in your picture and that's important, there are a few little ways to make it more important. And one is, and I guess that's the main thing I want to talk about, is get closer. By getting closer, you will make that one thing more important in the picture. You will make that picture about that one thing. So when in doubt, get closer. Every photographer will tell you that.
That's how you know it's a snapshot. I just look at snapshots and I know they're snapshots because they're too far away. You want to kind of walk, take 10 steps closer, and you'd be amazed. Not right in somebody's face, but
even sometimes even that is good. I mean, I've taken portraits where I was really close to that person, and they looked okay. But don't try that with a wide angle; it doesn't look that nice.
Chris Marquardt is at chrismarquardt.com. We do every month. We talk to Chris every week, but every month we do an assignment to get you out there with your new camera. Our assignment this month is to illustrate the concept footprint. Footprints. Don't know what that is? You tell me. You go to, here's how you do it. You take a picture and you go to flickr.com. If you're into photography, you should have a Flickr account. They're free. If you have a Yahoo account, you already have a Flickr account. Go to Flickr, F-L-I-C-K-R, no E, FLICKR.com. Go to groups, go to the Tech Guy group, upload your picture. And next week, we're going to take a look at some of the footprint pictures, and we'll give them a little run-through. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. Phone number is 8888 Ask Leo. If you've got a question, I would love to talk to you about all that stuff. 827-5536, right? I tell you, the easy way to find out is to go to our website. It's all there. TechGuyLabs.com. TechGuyLabs.com. Actually, the team that's going to be doing the redesign is coming in a little later on after the show. We're going to talk. And if you go to TechGuyLabs.com and you look at that website, you may say, oh, yeah, I guess you do need a redesign. It's a little old-fashioned, but it gets the job done. 842 shows there, including show notes, audio. The new site will also have video from every show. And what we're going to do, I'm very excited about this. We're going to, the website will have room for your contributions. This is, I think, to me, this is the main reason to do the redesign. Because the site's effective. I mean, it's not beautiful, but it's functional, isn't it? Sort of. So here's the deal. Here's what we're going to do. The new site will have an entry for each question and answer. So somebody calls in and asks a question. We'll have the question, my answer, and that's kind of what we have already. That's James DeRuvo, who takes our show notes. Basically, that's how he works. He's writing down each question. and my response to the question. We'll have it. He'll continue to do that. But after the show, we'll also add a transcript, direct transcript of the question and answer, plus video, a link to the YouTube video of exactly that question. And then this is the part that's genius, if I say so myself. There'll be comments. Oh, yeah, you say genius. Every blog post has that. Yeah, but the idea is if you heard an answer to a question and you had something to add, or you thought there was a better answer, I will hope, and I know we have the fabulous chat room and a lot of smart people. I hope you go there and you'll post a comment there. Or read comments and vote on them, because I will have a mechanism for you to vote comments up or down. So in time, as the site it matures, the best answers will float to the top. So and you'll be able to search the site. You'll say, I want to hear everything Leo has said about the iPad, and you'll get every question and answer about the iPad from time immemorial. So you'll be able to do it chronologically by day. So if you know, oh, I heard it on Sunday, you can go back and say, well, what did we talk about on Sunday? And you'll see all the questions from Sunday. You could do it by topic. I think this is going to be a nice site. I'm very excited about this. The team that's doing it is one of the best web design companies in the world, Lullabot. And they did our original site for my podcast. They're really great guys. I'm a big fan, Lullabot. And they're coming in a little later on, and we're going to talk. So that's, but these things take time. 3 months. We'll let you know. The other thing we're going to do is create a team tech guy, and I'd love to invite you ahead of time to be part of that. I'll give you details. But that team tech guy, the idea is these are people who agree that, yeah, we'll go in there and we'll answer questions. We'll have some prizes for the highest ranking team tech guy members each month, things like that. This should be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Back to the phones. George in Downey, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, George.
Leo, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Thanks for taking the call.
No, pleasure.
I called with a problem that I solved while I was on hold.
That's why we keep you on hold so long.
Thank you. It's amazing how you can do things through osmosis.
The idea is if you're on hold, eventually you'll fix the problem if I keep you on hold long enough. No, what was it? What was the problem?
The Adobe printer had disappeared from my printer options when I print.
Print to PDF.
Exactly, yeah. But it was Adobe, and it had something else. I forget what the other printer was, but it did something weird. But anyways, I went back to the Adobe. I couldn't find my program. So I went back, and there's under the help screen or drop-down menu, there's a repair or something option. Right. I did that, and it put it back.
Essentially reinstalled that driver, because that's what it is. It's a driver that says, I'm a printer, except it's not. It saves it out as a PDF.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it did reinstall it, so thank you for your help.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But I still have a question.
Okay.
I use the HTC. I just bought the Thunderbolt a couple months back. I'm looking for a program that would be like a notepad that I could use while I'm out in the field and in my business, be able to write notes, things I can remember, maybe even create them by different client headings and such.
I'll tell you what I use that I love.
Thank you.
It's free, and it has an additional advantage that it synchronizes to the internet, and it works on every phone, iOS, Apple, Android. It works on your desktop. It works on your tablet. It works everywhere. It allows you to take audio notes, video notes, photographic notes, or type in notes. They'll automatically sync up, and you'll have copies everywhere you go. And I use it religiously. It's called Evernote. Evernote. It's free. There's a pro version. If you start using it like crazy and you start uploading a lot of stuff, you can upgrade. But the free version is usually plenty.
Perfect.
Oh, you're going to love this. And the nice thing is, the next phone and then the phone after that, you just install Evernote. You enter your client, your login and your password, and all your data is there on the new phone.
So where do you install it from? Do you go on the internet and download it onto your PC?
Just go to the Android Marketplace, type in Evernote.
Okay, and then how does it? Well, I guess I just follow instructions. I'm just curious to know how it would sync to your computer. You'd have to.
You set up an account, and you can do that on the internet, or you can do it on your phone. And once you set up that account, your data synchronizes automatically from the phone to the account. And if you choose to install it on your computer, it will synchronize when you log in. You can install it on another phone; it'll synchronize when you log in. Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and Windows Phone too. It works on everything.
Okay.
So it's nice because there's no lock-in.
Terrific.
And it's free.
It sounds exciting.
Yeah, you're going to love it.
All right. Well, listen, great program. I enjoy listening every week and wish you were on every day.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care, George. I am on every day. Go to TWiT, TWiT. It's a podcast network. We just counted how many shows we do. I don't do them all, but we do 30 shows every week on TWiT. 30 shows. And I think I do 10 of them. 10 shows a week. So, every day but Monday and Friday, I'm live on the air answering questions, talking tech. I'm actually kind of a geek. You didn't know it probably, to look at me, but it's true. 8888, you did know, really. 8888, Ask Leo. Dan in Michigan, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, Leo? So it's so good to talk to you. I've listened to you forever, back in the TV day. I'm a low tech guy, so I'm not sure how much help I get, but
you're the helper, not the helpee, right? You got to keep up on this so your friends and family can ask for help.
I'm kind of retired, so I just I'm trying because everybody's coming to me for help.
Sure.
I don't know nothing about this. I mean, I'm so I get confused so easily. I can't even work my iPod. My downloads. I tried it, bought an iPod, tried it. I got 14 songs downloaded, 7 played, and 7 said they wouldn't play.
Well, you know what I say, and this is really important. It's not your fault if it doesn't make sense. People often blame themselves. Oh, I must be stupid. No, if it's not easy, then it was not designed well. That's my opinion. No, seriously, it's not your fault. You shouldn't have to be, a geek to be able to do this stuff. It should just work, and most of the time it doesn't, because let's face it, it's designed by engineers who already know how to use it, so they don't think about that.
Yes, that's for sure. I really appreciate it. I had 1,000 questions. I got it down to 2.
Okay, start. Let's go.
The only thing I say is my confuser is cornfused.
I always call him that, the personal confuser. Yep.
Thank you. My computer always asks me, it wants to do this HTTPS.
Hang on, and I'll explain what that is and how you can avoid it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, Ask Leo, that's the number. We were talking to David in Michigan. Hey, David, sorry to have to put you on hold.
Yes.
So you say your computer, your browser, I should say, wants to always browse everywhere at HTTPS mode.
It asks me every time, and I don't know how to get rid of that. And do you want Windows 8? You need Windows 8, But
actually, it wants to install Internet Explorer 8. It wants to update Internet Explorer. You should let it do that, by the way.
Okay. Well, you've recommended that, and I got to solve this. I got to get rid of this.
Well, this might actually get rid of that. So you're using what version of Internet Explorer are you using?
It's Windows 7. I've updated.
No, it's not. I'm talking about Windows, and it's not talking about Windows either. It's talking about your browser, which is called Internet Explorer. And I'm wondering what version of Internet Explorer you're using. You may not know that.
No, I don't. I don't even remember anymore how to look for that.
Yeah. The first thing I would do is say, yes, please install IE8.
Okay.
That may turn this whole thing off.
Oh, great. That would be fantastic.
Because that's the browser. Now, there's nothing wrong with HTTPS. I understand. You just don't want to see the pop-up.
Well, no, what happens is if I send somebody an email for something and they use my email to reply, it doesn't go through. They can't operate it. It just sits there because they're not in a secure network or something.
No, that's something else.
Yeah.
That's not related.
So if I turn it off, I can't turn it off, but if I say no, then we seem to be able to communicate. But it's frustrating.
Over email?
Yeah, I use Yahoo email, but over email, yeah.
So you're saying, by the way, these are completely unrelated. So put that out of your mind. I'm a little confused about what's going on with the email, though, and actually a little concerned. So you're saying that people send you email and
reply to me from an email I sent.
You send them an email, they reply to you, and you don't get the reply.
Yes, they can't use it at their end. They have to go back in and type in my address, then they can send me the email back.
And you're saying if you turn off HTTPS, that doesn't happen?
No. Yeah, I say no. It never turns it off because every time I do anything, it asks me.
Well, I think Yahoo Mail is properly wants to be in secure mode. You don't want to. This secure mode is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I understand you don't want to see the pop-up, but that's not a bad thing to be in secure mode. You want to be in secure mode. Otherwise, anybody can see your password traveling through the air, and there's just all sorts of reasons why secure mode is a good thing.
I didn't know that.
For email, secure mode should be on at all times. Now, I'm looking at my Yahoo Mail, and it is not on, and that's actually not a good thing. I'm not sure why you're getting this pop-up, and I don't know. It has, as far as I know, it has nothing to do with what could be going on here with why you're not getting email back. I assume you're using Yahoo Mail on the client. Are you getting the email message that says I can't identify this website?
I'm sorry?
What does the pop-up say? Does it say I can't identify this website, or?
No, it says when I open my computer and I try to type, when I first open the computer up and go to my Yahoo Mail, it pops up. Do you want to transmit in secure mode? You know, do you want to transmit? And I say no, because when I started saying yes, it still asks me every time. When I started saying yes, and I sent emails out, but my friends got them, but they used that to reply, use the reply button to send back, and they said it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It says demon mail, or I'm not at their end, but it said they've been trying to send me emails and it doesn't. And what they did was type my email address in and just send it whatever it is they wanted to send back to me.
I'm puzzled by all of this.
And you're puzzled. I listen to you all the time, and just like backup. Hey, I holler at you over the radio. Hey, no problem, Leo. I can back up all the time. It's just getting the data back.
My suspicion is that you have. When you go to Yahoo Mail, are you doing it from a bookmark?
Yes.
Try just, instead of doing that, just typing in mail.yahoo.com. See if you get that.
I'll try it. Mail.yahoo.com. Yeah, okay, I'll try that.
Because then I think it's possible that your bookmark is saying HTTPS. In other words, you might not want to use the bookmark you've been using. You might want to trash the bookmark and bookmark mail.yahoo.com, or edit the bookmark and make it mail.yahoo.com. And let it. Yeah, and then I don't think you'll get the pop-ups after that. There's three things I want you to do. Number one, I want you to say yes when it says, will you get IE8? Please do. It's much more secure. And I'm a little concerned that you might be using a very old version of Internet Explorer. Two, I want you to navigate to Yahoo Mail by hand, mail.yahoo.com. And then bookmark that. Three, make sure that your return address in your options for Yahoo Mail is correct. If you have a typo in your return address, that could be part of the problem. So look at your Yahoo Mail settings and make sure you've got the proper, if you've supplied a reply to address, make sure it's correct. Because what I suspect is happening is there's a typo. I mean, I'm only guessing. I'd have to look at this. What I suspect is happening is there's a typo in your settings, and that's why when your friends try to reply to the email, it doesn't work. They have to type it in by hand. That email that's supplied when they say reply to comes from you. Comes from your reply to address in your Yahoo Mail settings. And if it had a typo in it, well, that'd do it. Those would be my three suggestions. I hope that works. Hard for me sometimes to fix a problem by remote control because I'm kind of trying to read the tea leaves here. But I think those three things are the three things I would do. Brian, Redlands, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, Brian.
So here's my situation. I'm separated. My kids live with their mom part of the time. And I would like to set up, they're kind of young, I would like to set up something easy that they can use to video conference to Daddy.
You said they are on Facebook or not?
Well, my oldest is 8.
Oh, yeah, they're too young. They're too young to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
Once they get a
I
little
was
older,
thinking, like,
Facebook
maybe an
has built-in
iPad or-
Skype and makes it really easy to do this. But they're too young for that. I think Skype is the best way to do it. So what you want to do is at some point install Skype, which is free, on their computer, and install it on your computer. And what I do is when I set up Skype in that way, I set it up so that the only I shut down all the privacy settings, lock them all down, and say the only person who can call is me. And I set it up so it has your account in there, and then that way you can call them. You can even set it up to auto answer when you call. You might not want to do that; it's up to you. And then it's very easy. Skype also gives you a great image quality. You have to have enough bandwidth, but if you have good bandwidth, I think you're going to get a great video call with your kids. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Glenn.
Hello, Leo.
How are you, sir?
I'm not doing real well at the moment. I've been trying to hook Audible up to a Pan Digital.
Pan Digital is an Android tablet.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I've gone into Audible's app market, and I can't find an icon there.
Yeah, so what you do, the easiest thing to do is to go to the Android marketplace and search for Audible there. There's an Audible app for Android. It is not, I don't think, a tablet app. I think it's, but it should work fine. I mean, it's not specifically for the tablet.
Well, I tried searching for one, but it was within Audible.
No. Yeah. You're not listening to me. Go to the market, Android market.
Okay.
That's where you normally install apps from, right? Not Audible, but the Android market. Go there and search for Audible in there, and the app is right there. All Audible does is, if they do anything, is give you a link to that anyway. So let me so you can even do it, on many cases, you could do it online on your computer and say, if you've got it set up right, you say install it right to my phone, and it'll do that. I love the Android market for that reason. So if you go on, believe it or not, if you go on your computer and you're logged into your Google account, same Google account that you're using for your phone, and you click the install button, it'll then say, please sign in to install this app. Sign into that Google account. And Google knows which phones you have associated with that account. And you can choose which of the Android phones you have and you want to install on. Click that, and it will, believe it or not, from your computer, it will send a signal to the phone, download this, download this. So that's sometimes a little easier than doing it on the tablet or the phone. Yeah, but you can also do it on the tablet. Go directly to the market on the tablet and search for Audible. I like the Audible app for Android and iPhone because Audible is a company, and I should say they are a sponsor of many of our podcasts. So just a little disclaimer. Happen to like them anyway. But so they're a company that does audio books, something like 100,000 different audio books. So when you put the app on there, anything you've ever bought from Audible ever shows up. It's your library, like a library of books, and you can listen to any of those books. Download them directly to the phone and so forth. So that's the easiest way to do it, is to put that Audible app on there. iPhones, you have a choice because unlike Android, Apple's iPhone automatically supports the Audible format. It's a copy-protected format, so the iPhone can just play those Audible files. So if you're on an iPhone, you can go to audible.com, buy the book, download the book. Actually, they have Audible books on iTunes, same thing. And it'll show up in your iTunes library, and you sync up that way. I like to use the app. It's just an easier way for me to manage everything I got. Ken in Missouri, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Leo. I had a question about putting Adobe Premiere. I've got at my office, I have a little video workstation on Windows 7, and I've got an iMac at home, but I'd like to be able to do some of my work at home. I was wondering your thoughts on putting Adobe Premiere, PS5 is what I have, the Creative Suite.
Sure.
Putting that on the iMac using either Parallels or...
No, don't use Parallels. Just run it. It runs... you have the Windows-only version. What am I thinking?
I just have the one. You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Parallels or Boot Camp... Well, here's the difference.
Okay.
Parallels, you're running it underneath, within the Macintosh operating system. So you're running Windows on top of Macintosh, and that can be very slow. If you're doing boot camp, what that's really doing is reboot the computer into Windows. It's a Windows machine, and then it's as fast as any Windows machine with that particular hardware.
Yeah, I was worried about being parallels. I'd heard it might be kind of slow to
Yeah, it's not going to. I generally wouldn't want to do video editing in emulation. That's called emulation, when you emulate Windows or a virtual machine of Windows. But if you do it in boot camp, it's exactly the same.
So you don't think there's no problem setting it up through boot camp?
Shouldn't be, unless copy protection prevents you from installing it on a second computer.
Well, no, I think you can do two computers.
Okay, yeah, Adobe's notorious for that, so make sure you can use the key on two different computers.
Right. Okay, that's what I was just curious. I just wonder what kind of problems I'm going to get into by going to Windows on a Mac.
No, in fact, almost all my Macs I put Boot Camp on, and I put Windows on, so I can boot into Windows. One advantage of doing that, by the way, is then if you do want to use Parallels or VMware Fusion, you can say, I already have Windows installed, and those virtualization programs will use that installation, the Boot Camp installation. So you don't have to have two copies of Windows. If you just want to quickly get into Windows without exiting the Macintosh operating system, you could use Parallels to do that. It is slower because, you know, you're sharing memory, you're sharing processor with the Mac OS, but it's convenient. And so you can quickly load Windows, take a look at something and exit out of it, or leave it running in the background if you have enough horsepower. So I always use Boot Camp to install Windows and then use the virtualization programs if I need to get into Windows inside the Macintosh operating system. Works great. In fact, it works so well. You know, one of the reasons I do that is because I want to play games that aren't available on the Macintosh. Currently playing a game called Skyrim, which I love. Very demanding, very horsepower, CPU and processor and a graphics card intensive. Needs a lot of memory. Needs a great big video card. So I reboot my Mac Pro at home or my iMac here into Windows, running Windows natively now. Run Skyrim, it runs fine. Looks great. So, you know, you get the full benefit of it's just like a Windows machine, frankly. Brian on line 3 from San Gabriel Valley. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
Hey, Brian, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Hey, I had a question about using Audacity to record songs and make MP3s or WAV files and saving them on my computer.
Yeah.
And then, is that illegal to do? I mean, can you get in trouble for doing it?
No. Well, there's some debate over this. The recording industry would like to think that that's illegal. It's called ripping, right? So where's the song coming from initially?
Say it was coming from YouTube.
That's a little bit of a different story. If you have the CD and you rip it, that's what they call it, not as in rip off, but actually as in kind of tear the music off the CD onto the hard drive, that's legal, in my opinion, because you're making a legal copy of music you already own. Record industry has gone back and forth on this. They'd like to say it's illegal. At times they do say it's illegal, but they realize that's such an unpopular position, they don't really belabor the point. What they don't want you to do is share it with other people. Now, YouTube is a different story. You know, a lot of times I'll see this on YouTube. Somebody will post a song, and they'll say, I'm not violating copyright here because, and they have some excuse. Just because a song is on YouTube doesn't mean that's a legitimate copy. So the law was probably already broken by the person who put it up there. I have to tell you, recording a song off YouTube is far from optimal because YouTube they favor video over audio. They crunch the audio a lot. I don't know if you've noticed. But
yeah.
It sounds a little scratchy and crunchy.
I also had another question, Leo.
So, well, just to finish that thought, it's not an ideal way to do it. It's probably not illegal. Nobody's gonna. Let's put it this way. It may be technically a copyright violation. Nobody's going to go after you unless you share it online with other people. If it's for personal use, I think you're okay. Hang on, I'll get you next question.
I use Mega Upload. Mega Upload. When I gotta send files across the globe. I use Mega Upload. Mega Upload.
Bye-bye, Mega Upload.
And I like to use Mega Upload.
Yeah, I like Mega Upload.
By the way, we probably get pulled off the air for playing this song anyway. Oh, man. Oh, man.
Mega Upload because it moves fast, just like
They won that one. This was the song that Universal Music Group had pulled off of YouTube. Not because they own the rights to anything in it, because they didn't like Mega Upload. We have a news show on our podcast network that played a small portion, less than that, of that song. They pulled that news show down, too. Not because there was any illegality or piracy involved, but because they didn't like what we were saying. And this is the problem. That these kinds of broad powers in the hands of copyright holders are very dangerous to the internet and to free speech in general. They believe that their right to stop piracy, even if it's not piracy, exceeds our right to free speech, our right to due process. It's basically, you know, Constitution's not important. Not important. I guess we lost our caller. He had another question, but he's gone now, so I'll go to Jerry in Los Angeles. Hello, Jerry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, great show. I was wondering, all the choices for Internet TVs are so overwhelming. I was ready to buy the Sony Blu-ray player that had Google TV kind of built into it. I don't really understand it that well, but it sounded like you could get full Internet using the Blu-ray box plugged into a Internet TV or an appropriate TV.
Yeah, so let me kind of explain the idea. And by the way, this is the future. All the new TVs we saw at the Consumer Electronics Show a couple of weeks ago were smart TVs. And when they say smart, they basically mean they're computers with internet connections, apps, microprocessors. Most of them had dual-core processors in them. They're computers as well as TVs. So this Blu-ray thing, same.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The Blu-ray player is the same thing, exactly. It has an internet connection into it. It's a computer. It had to be anyway to play the Blu-ray discs. And so they give you, basically it's a way of interfacing your television set to content that's on the internet.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Now I should say that each of these devices has a different set of content that it can access. No one device does everything. So you kind of have to look at what they do and pick the one that that does most of what you want. There's Apple TV, there's Boxy Box, there's Google TV, there's Roku. I can go on and on and on. My friend Veronica Belmont, with a lot of help from her friends, has made a Google Docs spreadsheet that talks about all the different features of all the different set-top boxes. I'll point you to that. We'll put a link in our show notes. The short URL for it is bit.ly. bit.ly/set-top, SETTOP, all one word. So if you look at that spreadsheet, you can see all the things that these different boxes, all the content that these different boxes can get to.
Now I know some they'll only have certain apps, and that's it. You can't.
Yeah, well, I'll give you an example. The Apple TV works with Amazon, iTunes, Netflix, and your home computer, and that's it.
Right, and that's the only things you can get.
And that's it. They don't extend it. There's nothing more. Google TV has apps now and seems to be more extensible. I actually like Google TV.
As a true Google TV, the salespeople at a big electronics store told me Google TV could access full internet. Is that accurate?
It has in the sense that it has a browser.
Yes.
Here's what they didn't tell you. We get back to these crazy content guys again. CBS, Fox, NBC, and others, Hulu, block Google TV. So,
that's what I heard.
Yeah, so you got a browser, you launch your browser on your TV, it's Google Chrome, you can go to any website, except those, they'll say, oh no, sorry. Because you're not on a computer, you're on a TV, we're not going to let you watch.
That's right, so then it's almost like if the point is, I wanted to get those are the two of the...
Of course! And then they complain because, well, then you just go, well, all right, well, I'll download the shows off the internet. And then they say, you pirate, you! Well, if you would make it possible for us to watch, maybe we wouldn't steal it.
I would subscribe to Hulu Plus if I could watch it on my
Exactly!
TV, not in my computer room.
How does this make sense? You can't have it. You can't have it. No, you can't. We don't want you to have it, so you can't have it. And by the way, we're going to break the internet because piracy is so rampant.
Well, barring the Sony choice, the Blu-ray player, is there another one that you recommend that does almost all of that?
No, I think the Google's the most complete. Boxy Box is quite good, and I don't believe is quite as blocked. That would be another good choice. I like Roku, but Roku doesn't pretend to do all those things. Doesn't have a browser. The one that's the closest to giving you a full internet experience, I agree with the guy at the store, is Google TV, except for the fact that these content companies block it.
And then
they'll let you watch. This is what I understand. They will let you watch it on a computer.
Yes.
But not on your TV.
Is there any way I could use my Wi-Fi connection to get my computer content into my TV with like some kind of Wi-Fi adapter?
Yeah, the most flexible, and you'll see on this bit.ly/set-top, the most flexible way to do this is with a computer. Because a computer can get all this stuff. Hulu thinks you're watching on a computer. You are. So a home theater PC will solve this, and that's what I would suggest is looking, if this is really the goal, you want the full internet on your TV, get a Mac Mini or a Windows-based home theater PC. On a Plex is my favorite. Plex is really great on the Mac Mini or a Windows PC, and then you get everything. You get a browser. What's ironic is you get Hulu. Of course, you get Hulu because you're watching on a computer. It's the same screen. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Kent, Rialto, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, how you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you, Kent?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, you summed it up perfectly. As effective as of yesterday, my ability to log on to my email account, I always do it using the web-based thing. I don't do Outlook or anything.
So you're browsing to your what is it, Gmail?
Well, it's AT&T.net.
Okay, it's AT&T's mail, which is Yahoo, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you're browsing to your Yahoo Mail. You can do it on Firefox, but all of a sudden Internet Explorer won't let you do it.
Right.
What?
I either get, we're sorry, there's technical difficulty or something like that, or there's a, oh shoot, what was the other one? Something about a, some sort of problem with the internet, something like that.
That's weird.
Everything else works.
Yeah, and do you have the latest version of Internet Explorer? Have you been has Microsoft been pestering you to upgrade?
I can check that right
now.
now.
You run Windows Update, right, automatically? And
yes, I do.
Good. All right.
And I'm running Windows 7.
Yeah, so you probably have Windows 8 on there. I mean, IE 8 on there.
Yeah, and let's see here.
I'll make sure that nothing's been modified in your IE8. You might look in the settings. What you particularly want to pay attention to is the proxy settings. Turn those off. You shouldn't have a proxy. Sounds like a bug. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.